Hey everyone, I'm Sison, and today we're taking a look at the Sony 85mm F1.4 G Master lens for the Sony E-mount system. The 85mm F1.4 is the second G Master lens to come from Sony, and it promises to be one of the best portrait lenses available for E-mount users. Now, portrait photographers as well as street photographers would also find this lens interesting because to date, it is the fastest telephoto prime lens that has an aperture of f1.4, and it also has been a popular focal length for people for quite some time now. Now today I have it mounted on my Sony A7R II, so stick around because I'm going to take a few shots with it, and at the end of the video, I'll let you know what I personally think of it.
The lens has a solid metal and plastic construction with a rubber focus ring and plastic aperture ring. It accepts 77mm filters and has a focus hold button and a switch to quickly change between autofocus and manual focus. On the top you have the lens designation indicating the focal length and aperture, and on the other side of the lens there is a switch to change between having a clicking sound or having it silent when you change your aperture. Supplied with the lens is a plastic barrel type lens hood to block out any flare from the sun and different light sources. It also has rubber on the top of the hood and it fits securely in place by locking it in.
Now the lens weighs approximately 880 grams, and that's with the lens hood included. And in terms of build quality, it's very much like the other G Master lenses where it has a very solid build. Now a welcome addition is the aperture ring, which makes it easier to change your settings, especially when you're doing it on the fly, and especially if you're doing video. Now my only real wish was that Sony had this on more lenses, not just the higher end ones. But having this lens paired with the A7R II is no doubt going to give you some amazing quality images.
Having the click and declick option is a handy feature to have, especially if you shoot video, because not only is it silent, but you don't get that jagged footage when you change the aperture. The focus ring doesn't offer much resistance, which isn't exactly a bad thing, but I do recommend using focusing aids such as manual focus assist and peaking just to make sure that your subject is intact focus. Also, if you wanted to do some offhand close-up shots, the minimum focusing distance of the lens is 80 centimeters. Now if you're using this lens on cameras like the A7 II series or the A6500, you get the benefit of having in-body stabilization. But unfortunately, if you have any cameras other than these, it's best to make sure that you're shooting at a fast enough shutter speed that will not blur your subject, because there is no optical stabilization in the lens. Focusing is fairly quick, but not as quick as the other G Master lenses. And while it does make a bit of noise while autofocusing, it's not as noticeably loud unless you're shooting in an environment where it's dead quiet. The images that come out of this lens are extremely sharp, and the out of focus blur is very smooth, so if you're a portrait photographer, this might be a lens you may want to add to your kit. Even shooting wide open, I was really impressed with what I was getting, and that bokeh is one of those features that make this lens special. There was an extremely tiny bit of vignetting, and shooting wide open at f1.4 gave me a bit of chromatic aberration, but these things can be easily corrected in post. In terms of distortion, it's virtually non-existent. All of these shots were with the A7R II, so it's really getting that benefit of that 42 megapixel sensor. And they were all shot in RAW and converted to JPEG.
Now I've been shooting with this lens extensively for the past few months, and despite its heavy price tag and weight, I really enjoyed using this lens. With beautiful out of focus blur and sharpness to match, this lens easily earns itself the G Master status, and I feel like portrait photographers would enjoy using this classic focal length. With excellent build quality, my only real downside to this lens is the heavy price tag, weight, and that little bit of chromatic aberration when shooting wide open at f1.4. Now, if you see in my first impressions video of this lens, I sort of complained about this, about the autofocusing noise that you get. And while that was my original concern, shooting with it from like every day doesn't really make a big difference to me. I can imagine it making a little difference when you're shooting weddings where it needs to be dead quiet, but really it's not a big deal and it's not a deal breaker for myself. Now, if you feel like this lens is a bit too expensive, you can always get the highly regarded Carl Zeiss 85mm f1.8 Batis lens. The main difference is it is a bit cheaper, it doesn't have the aperture ring, and it has an aperture of f1.8 instead of a f1.4. Now, that's it from me, but if you have any more questions, please feel free to leave a comment below, and if you already own one, let me know what you think of it. And remember to like this video if you found it helpful, and subscribe to my channel for more Sony lens reviews and tutorials. You can also follow me on Facebook and Instagram for more photo updates and sample photos, and also take a look at the description below for more information on this lens. Now, until then, happy shooting and thanks for watching.